I'm Old Panther, and this is Rugby League news by fans, for fans.
G'day guys, make sure to like, subscribe, follow and all that, and welcome to Leichhardt, home of the very rare Western Sydney Tigers, which experts predict is due to become extinct this year. Now I can understand a lack of confidence. 2020 started alright, if not inconsistent, with 5 wins from 10 games, including a tough loss to us in round 8, where they just about matched the eventual minor premiers. That game had me thinking the Tigers would go on to have a good year. No. They smashed the Broncos 48-0 in round 10, then, in Tigers tradition, won only 2 games in the entire second half of the year. In isolation, you'd say the Tigers were getting progressively worse, and that'd continue into 2021. When in reality, it's just the duality of the West Tigers that we've been seeing over the last few years. 2018, they started the year beating the Roosters in round 1. And spoiled the Storms happily ever after, winning both Billy Slater's 300th milestone game in round 2 and Bellamy's 400th in round 7. But they still went on to finish 9th. Next year? Yeah, 9th again. And I know it sucks for you guys to hear the meme all the time, but, and this is a big but, the meme is actually your strength. Now I know what you're thinking. Hair loss has sent you insane, Old Panther. And, well, yeah, that's true. Bear with me, and it'll make sense. And no, I'm not worried about Grant going back to the Storm. Sure, it would have been good to keep, obviously. He's a talent, and it will be fun to see his career progress as a general fan of the sport. The Tigers have been that middling team with and without him. No, what they've been missing is leadership, consistency, and culture to raise them from the perennial middle-of-the-table disappointments to a finals team. Let's start with leadership. It's arguably the most important of the 3 attributes, and while they've had some experienced players like Benji, Farah, and Lawrence, who's that guy in the forward pack who's going to stand up and lead their own pack on and off the field and ultimately lay that platform for your halves? Every finals team has one, but I'd bet you'd struggle to name who it is for the Tigers. Now, I'm not saying they don't have good props at the club. That's something different entirely. But this is where James Tarmo comes in. At 267 career games, with the premiership and rep games for both New South Wales and Australia, he more than doubles the next closest player, who was also brought in just this year, which was Offa Hengawi from the Broncos, at just over 100 games. Seriously, the rest of the pack, they all have less than 100 games each. He's also just coming off one of his better seasons, personally leading the second youngest team in the comp to a record-breaking year, who, by all accounts, worked as hard as anyone on and off the field, holding himself and his team accountable. Think back over the last 10 years and see if you can remember anyone like that at the Tigers. Aaron Woods? I doubt you'll find anyone who calls him more than a good solid forward at his peak. His rep selection was always pretty divisive among New South Wales fans. I don't think I even need to mention Packer, do I? Of course, it's easy to throw out sayings about how games are won in the middle and all that. But what will this actually do for the Tigers in practice? Well, you'll get to see the real Luke Brooks. In 2018 and 19, when he was pretty much at his best, winning that Dally M halfback award, he was good, but still not exactly setting records in terms of try assists. But his running stats were in that 80 to 120 metre average per game range that good running halves like Munster and Keary hit. Put simply, he's a running half by nature, trying to play off the back foot a lot, which is going to hurt. He needs momentum and speed to hit the advantage line and be willing to back himself, which ironically will bring his passing game into play, as the defence will have to commit to him for that extra quick second. Think of it as dominoes. As Brook plays quickly at a retreating defensive line, the inside defenders can't slide out, which then means the Tigers' backline, and especially Nofaluma, is going to have a nice party out there with the extra time and space. And speaking of Nofaluma, this is where culture and consistency come into it. Yeah, there's a lot of talk every single year about the merry-go-round of roster management, but generally, you'll have at least one player that embodies the club and hangs around for a fair amount of their career, if not goes on to be a one-club player. For us, it was Mansell, playing 9 years for the club, taking less money to stay, and in turn the club backed him through multiple severe injuries and kept him in first grade through a bit of a rough period of poor form, I guess you'd call it, when a lot of fans thought he might actually have to be dropped. In the end, he had an amazing season and we went to a grand final. Roosters have Boyd Cordner, who's as tough as they come and never gives less than 110% for the club. Storm have Smith, and on down the list we could go. And that's Nofaluma for the Tigers. Look at this tweet he did after the re-signing was announced, where he calls the club home and goes on to talk about how the club has seen hard times and the positive improvement that he wants to be involved in and help drive for the club. You combine that attitude with the fact they have a premiership winning coach who's now going into the 3rd year on the job, and you've got a solid foundation to start building long-term results. And it kind of looks eerily similar to the Panthers' transition from 2019 to 2020. After all, it's said it takes a coach a few years to really make the team their own. All in all, I think while other teams around them will improve, I definitely think everyone is sleeping on the Tigers and are in for one hell of a shock if you're tipping them for a bottom 4 finish. Do they make the finals this year? They have a real shot, but clubs like Manly, who get Tom Trbojevic back, are going to be a big hurdle. The Titans are going to be pushing for the 8, among others as well, so it is going to be tough, and I can see them needing a couple of years of steady improvement to make that really big impact on the comp that they want. But I do want them to play finals, so I'm going to put my official pick for them at 8th. Lastly, as a little side note, I do hope they get Dane Laurie off us this year, as rumoured, to play fullback for them. It'd be cool to see the kid play consistent first grade. He's very talented, he's very, very quick, and has a great passing game. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, so you follow me on your choice of platform. On Wednesday, I'll be live streaming Rugby League Live 4 on YouTube for just general chat and a fun little virtual comp, because staring at me on stream would be kind of boring. Until next time, have a good one, guys.